Hello, everyone. Welcome again to Cornell Burgess Nullus Terminus Ocun Limit. That means no limit. And welcome to the first iteration of what we will call Tiny Room. For those of you that are familiar with NPR's Tiny Desk, well, this is our derivative of that. So again, welcome. And I look forward to doing this with you all. 1 year ago today that I bought my paddleboard, and I started paddling about a month after that. And of course, a lot of what you're seeing in terms of video content right now is around the paddleboard. And there's a purpose for that because the paddleboard has been a dive in of an area where I have myself grown and encountered what we'll be talking about today as a subject, which is fear. Now, inherent in no limit is really no fear. Again, the channel, what is it about? It's about inspiration, motivation, passion that enables an empowered life with no limit. And if I could pull on this a little as we look at fear in this context, inspiration is the spark. We all have that spark. And if you look at children, that spark is going all the time. They really don't experience fear. And we know that. Johnny, don't touch the stove. It's hot. Sarah, don't just run across the street without looking both ways. So we know that there is something to be said about children and their comfort, and actually sometimes missing the importance of fear. So inspiration's the spark. Motivation. What is motivation? Motivation's the fuel. And in this case, the fuel is gaining awareness, understanding, that knowledge, and acting on it. That becomes fuel. Fuel on the spark starts the fire. Passion's the fire. And when you have passion, now there is actually real momentum for change, to do and affect something differently. And so no limit's not just a mindset. It's not just a cliche. It's something that I personally live by every time I go out in the water. And that's why I've used paddle boarding or extreme stand-up paddle surfing as a medium, because when I go out in the water, I experience fear. Every time I come off the back in the blue, in the deep, and I'm thinking about all the associated risk, I experience fear when I'm preparing. And what works? What changes it so that again and again I can do it? Well, it's reps and sets and a certain thing that we're going to talk about here. But if you apply it in other areas of your life, it brings down the power, the sense of weight, that pause that fear can give. Because fear, after all, albeit an important emotion, so often it's contextualized and catastrophized in our mind, and it paralyzes us, freezes us. I want to share every fear that I could think of that I've battled against or am battling against in this book that I wrote in. And I'll put images of what I wrote down on the internet for you to look at. Because this isn't about, hey, I figured it out. No, it's a continuous process. It's continuously doing this certain thing. And it changes the equation when it comes to fear. So before I mention that certain thing, let me read you the fears that I wrote. If you'll have patience with my indulgence. And I do this as practically letting you know I had fear about doing this. To share every fear that that came to my mind and put it on the internet for whomever to see. You think about that. But I'm doing this because it's part of my own walk with no limit. Nullus terminus, ocum limit. So here they go. My fears and past fears. Being alone. Saying no. Establishing and enforcing boundaries. Not being good enough, smart enough, or fast enough. Failure, failing. Being vulnerable. Rejection. Betrayed. Taking on too much. Elevators, confined spaces, height, water, waves, ocean, sea, sharks, monk seals. I'll explain that at some point. I was chased by a monk seal. Being deceived, tornadoes, being embarrassed, not reaching my full potential, being mediocre. Found out for a weakness or a compulsion, expressing shame, crying, divorce, letting down family and friends, letting down God, getting hurt, dying, being a beginner, laughed at, made fun of, asking for help, fear of the future, being labeled, being forgotten, change. Not being liked, being incompetent, knowing the truth, letting go, trusting God, being overwhelmed, breaking unhealthy patterns of thinking and behavior, losing, being codependent, loss of control, the unknown, freezing up, stuttering, forgetting, being replaced, weak, missing out, being irrelevant, aging, the aging process, physical, mental decline, loss of memory, giving up sentimental things, heartbreak or broken heart, lengthy terminal illness, losing important relationships, losing loved ones, saying goodbye, being authentic, being myself. And folks, I really reached as far as I could. I'm sure there's got to be something else, but that's all that I could come up with in about 30, 40 minutes of really, no, more like an hour. But if something else comes up, I'll be happy to add it on. But here's what I want to tell you about fear. Fear changes when we let go. The more we try to take control, to maintain control, it increases our anxiety. It increases the threshold of stress. It freezes us. We're less natural. We're not as agile. We can't think and process as freely and independently as we otherwise could. But when we let go, and letting go isn't easy, and like anything, it takes repetitions and sets, reps and sets. But as we let go, more and more, something starts to happen. There's a familiarity, and the brain does this amazing thing, which it creates new electromagnetic chemical pathways called neuroplasticity. Yeah, these pathways of these neurons in our brain creates new roadmaps, if you will, new paths that are like if you walk on a trail over and over, the brain finds it more quickly. And you have to understand the multitude of cells, billions of cells, and each cell has 10,000 endings on one. So they can, the on-off capability and connections is kind of infinite, science says. But here's the fascinating thing. when we're deliberate and intentful and purposeful, the brain makes the astonishing adjustment, and it creates new pathways that become new patterns of behavior. And with continuance, they become habit. They become normalized. And the brain remaps. And then the old paths, it eventually lets those fall to the wayside. Not completely erased usually. But as the new ones get stronger, the other ones there's an inverse relationship. Okay, so letting go is the key to facing fear. But the first thing is you have to acknowledge it. So you heard everything I read. And by the way, every time you do it, you feel stronger. You feel more integrated, more whole, more self-validated. Not looking for the validation from others, but internally having that validation. And that's powerful. And that's what enables the mindset and the ability, the momentum to live no limit. To go and do what you haven't done before. And folks, it's real. I don't know anything about creating video content. I just recently purchased the app that I'm using. And I had to learn it. And it's been a month and a half. But you know what? We'll figure it out. I've been paddling really 10 and a half months. I didn't start paddling as soon as I bought the board. There's no limit. I'm 56 years young. But I'm out carving and I'm cutting on waves and I'm going out further and challenging myself more. I'm a black person, an African American who's not exactly doing something where I saw it being modeled for me, going out in the water and the swimming, the long distance swimming that I used to do before this. Learning an instrument, learning a language. What is it that you're not doing that you could do? That you know right now, you're hearing, you're feeling it. You know what I'm talking about. Maybe it's carpentry, it's gardening. Maybe it's connecting with a loved one where it's been cold, it's been icy. Maybe it's looking internally in some areas in your life and saying, hey, let me be willing to look at this. I'm going to ask you, invite you to something. It's not about pressure and I don't want you to feel bad. But if you're seeing this, if you're watching this, I want to invite you. If you relate to the fears that I've shared with you, I don't know how many there were. I think about 60. If you relate, write in the comment. For your own sake, write in the comment. It's your step. It's your facing fear and saying, I am going to do something different. Write, I can relate. You don't have to put your fear. If you want to write a fear, go for it. It'll probably feel empowering, but I can relate. Because what's happening here is we're putting into action something. A movement that's not about just thought, theory, methodology, but real action that brings change and empowers lives. Inspiration, motivation, passion, empowering a life with no limit. So folks, I send much love to you. I thank you for your time here. I appreciate the support. We're 10 days in and we're almost at 500 views. I hope that these messages are getting out further. I invite you to pass on to your friends, to share, because we're going somewhere and we're going there with no limit and no fear. I'll be putting out new video content in the next 48 hours. It's going to be, I think, exciting. some pretty neat, exciting places. I don't want to spoiler alert on it, so I'll just say that. But videos are forthcoming. Be well. I really thank you for your time, your patience. You could be doing many other things, and I'm aware of it. Merci beaucoup. Merci infiniment. Gracias. Grazie. And so many other languages that I would love to say thank you. Dankeschön. But really, thank you so much. I'm sending positive vibes your way, sending love your way. We'll see you in the videos. Remember, I can relate. Make your statement. Love for you to make a comment if you have anything to add to this, or if you have any questions, and I will do my best to respond in a timely way. For now, as always, checking out Hang Loose. We'll see you on the channel. Until next time, nolus terminus, aucun limite, no limit.